Chris, I wanted to start. Well, I wanted to kind of go back with you on here, and you posted something really cool in your story. I thought you were talking about sales, training, recruiting, how they all work together, how you guys feel like you've put a system together for all those things, right?
Absolutely.
And I want to get into a lot of that stuff. But you just moved to Hawaii, and before that, you moved to Florida. You started out in Denver, right? And I
Yep.
think one thing that people have a hard time with in business is that they want to understand exactly what step, three, four, five, six, seven look like if they take step one, right? And you're just like, dude, I'll go to Florida if it doesn't work out. I'll go to Hawaii. If not, I'll go back to like you're like, I'm gonna figure it out as I go. And I think a lot. The reason I want to we just start here is I think a lot of times in business, people wait until all the everything's planned out, all the conditions are perfect, and if you do that, you're gonna wait forever. So I would just love for you to talk for a couple minutes about your mindset about business, why you're willing to just figure stuff out as you go, why it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're like, I'm gonna go to Hawaii. Why? Because I think I have some guys out here that make sense. Florida, like wherever you're going in business, you're not waiting for everything to be planned out perfectly. You're just doing stuff, and money loves speed. So I want you to talk about that to start for a little bit, and then we'll jump in
Totally.
with some questions.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, first and foremost, I would say if there's one thing that I do fairly well, it's that, right? It's not hesitating. It is, if you see an opportunity and it makes sense, like just dive for it. You got to go for it. I think that maybe I learned that early on, maybe in sports, right? It was just like, hey, like if, right, I played football, so it's like, hey, if the quarterback's there, like just go get him. The opportunity's there, you go and make it happen. So I think that is something, quite frankly, a lot of agents struggle with. It's like, hey, if it's already laid out and it makes sense, then just do it. Um, that is probably one of the things that is the lack of action or people just second guessing too many things, right? If they're like, hey, I just don't think this maybe is a good place right now. It's like, hey, I'd rather get there and then figure out while we're there. Now, obviously, in business, like we've had, I would say, like there's a couple ways of looking at it. One, people could think, oh, that's sporadic. You're just shooting from the hip. Like, no, no, no. If it makes logical sense, if it makes business sense, I coach on it. It makes sense. The next step is implementation. Speed to action is one of the most important things, not only in sales, but also in building too, right? So it's like, yeah, went to Florida, made a lot of sense. We went out there, we built there. And from there, then we had an opportunity in Hawaii to where I'm like, oh, shoot, like, hey, this is literally across the entire country. It's a 14-hour flight. But it made sense, and we're actually launching a brand new office today. We actually got the keys on it today. I think we'll be in there either later afternoon today or tomorrow. So speed to implementation, I think, is probably one of the most important things. That's also on the sales side too, though, right? It's like, hey, if someone who sells more than you, they're telling you to go about a specific objection a certain way, and then you're not acting on that and you don't have the results that you're looking for, that's probably why you don't have the results that you're after, right? Is because of lack of implementation. So, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like things like that could definitely be scary, or there could be like that there, but also I think it just keeps things exciting. Like if it makes sense, you just got to act on it, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. So hey, I think one of the reasons people struggle with recruiting in the beginning is because they don't feel like they have a good system lined out. And I think when we say system, people think of CRM or software, like all this stuff that is pretty irrelevant. Like you need some of it, but some of the biggest agencies that I have, like their agents dial from their cell phones, right? And so I
Hmm.
think while technology is great, it can be a big distraction. When I think of a process for new agents to get up and get rolling. It's like what you guys have set up. Hey, you come in these days, these are the trainings you have. This is what we do for leads. This is how you become, this is what comp you start at. This is what comp you graduate to. Can you walk everyone through like what you set up for your new agents to have a very clear cut system to walk into? Because when I started, Chris, it was like, hey, here's some leads, go dial. I think over time we figured out like that works for 1% of the population, doesn't work for everybody. So if you're going
Right.
to have a big agency that you scale and you grow, you have to have some real short-term goals, some structure, and hey, here's step one, two, three, four, five for new agents. So can you walk them through what you guys have set up and why you think that's worked as well? It's worked to grow as fast as y'all have grown.
Yeah, totally. So first and foremost, like when we started, we didn't really have systems in place. So for, I guess, like you were saying, like that 1% of people who just kind of figure it out, like one, that does work. So if you're on this call and let's say you don't have the most perfect CRM that let's say like we have or whatever the case is, like that's okay. One of the best things about going to Florida is I saw all these guys dialing off the spreadsheets, right? Hand dialing. Mind you, is it the most effective way? Not necessarily, right? But does it get the job done? It does. So that's big first and foremost there. Now, the next thing, as far as actually like building systems and having something in place, like what we've always done is like setting the first expectation that we'll set is just really the general expectations of your first 90 days. So in this business, like you could have the best system, but if you're not ready for like, hey, what the next 90 days are going to entail, which is going to be learning, it's going to be a lot of failure, but out of that failure, you're going to have a lot of growth, a lot of learning. I think that's really important, right? Understanding like, hey, this is what we're about to do. Like we're about to run into the fire. The cool thing is this is not some type of positional leadership thing. It's like, hey, Zach's already been there before. My upline Ty, he's ran through it before as well. So it's like almost like you're walking through like with a team through the fire, right? So it's preparing people for that and just setting the proper expectations there. So once we set up the proper expectations, like, hey, this is what you're about to do, then it's just starting, right? So get after the licensing contracting process, we have a system of sales training that every single agent is required to do before they ever hop on the phones, right? So it's our 10-step process of through our sales. So that you'll do your sales training. Once you have your basis of sales training, you've gone through every objection that you're going to see, every overcome to those objections. You'll have your resources, which is your script, your CRM's already plugged and played. I mean, we have all of that dialed into one software. So like we're really lucky that we have that. We have our sales training, our onboarding, our licensing, contracting into one software. So let's say I was to hire you, Zach, or whoever. I send them one link, and from that link, they could start from onboarding, licensing, training, and development. It's all in one platform. So I'll say that's really nice. Early on when I started, it was like 15 different things. And really, we just started nailing this down probably about a month and a half ago. So, and funny thing now is like, I mean, we're about to have our best month ever this month, but it's now everything is just like running and it's way easier to get started now. Versus back then, it was like, hey, you go to this resource page, this website, this website. There's 20 different websites. Now it's like, hey, you have one. And the power of just simplicity. I mean, I was always told like simple scales, I'm sorry, complicated will confuse things and it will not allow you to scale, right? So simplicity scales. So that's what we're doing now. We just have everything in one area.
Cool. And then the stuff you have in there as far as training goes, right? So, and to be for people, if you're on here and you're like, I'm just starting to build a team, your one area could be one website. Like it doesn't have to be a full blown system. It could be a very like, hey, this is one of um one of Wiley's agents, Chris, the other day showed me there is this it's just like it's a Google Sheets doc and it has links on it, but it's all in one place. Like it can be pretty simple like that, right? So for
Yeah.
you building something out for new agents, what if someone on here is like, I have three agents, I'm trying to build sales training. What does the actual training look like? Do you have new agents go through before they start getting on the phones and before they come in their first day in the office? Like, what is
Yeah.
the one-on-one stuff that needs to be covered?
So as far as the 101 stuff, I'll touch on that. So I was using a Google Drive and a Google Sheet that was clickable till a month and a half ago, right? So like if that is where you're at, you could actually scale to a million a month doing that. I'm not saying it's going to be the best thing, but you can. Now, as far as some sales like 101 stuff, first and foremost is the expectations, right? It's like the mindset, like, hey, what are you actually about to go into? Like, okay, like you're not in the game, but you're in the huddle, right? So what are you actually going to see on the field? So we explain that. Then the sales 101 stuff, it'll be like one, the script, right? It's incredibly important to know your script. So whatever team you're on, whether you're doing IUL, mortgage protection, final expense, veterans, whatever that looks like, what is your script, right? That's your playbook. That is the game plan. And then from there, we have a script video that goes into the script. We have a intro objection video. We have a closing uh, objection video, and we have an application video as well. So it's really just that basic. Then also just the psychology of like what people you're going to see on the phone, right? People are going to say they're busy or they have 10, 15 different things to do. But in reality, like if they send us their information, right, we're working warm leads, we're working people who ask for the product. So we're always staying in the driver's seat as well. So those are the main things, right? It's script, application video, a intro objections, a closing objection video. Those are the main things in like sales 101. The expectations
Got it.
as well.
And then people come in, watch that, come in for the first dial day. Talk to everyone about how you figure out, okay, is this person going to be independent buying their own leads? Are they going to work old leads? Am I going to put them on a lead program? Because that's one of the questions I get asked the most, Chris. Like, hey, who should I buy leads for or not? And how do I know if it's a good fit or not? I'm like, well, if you ever figure out a 100% way to figure out if you should buy someone leads or not, tell us all because we'll all make a lot more money. But what's your general process to figure it out? Because it's never gonna be perfect, but some people do need a chance and some people do need some lead assistance, right? And then some
Totally.
people are just never gonna dial. So what does that look like for you when you're figuring out how to start someone out in the business?
Totally. So one, I mean, that's always a conversation with the agent, right? The prospective agent. So for example, I mean, we'll hire all kinds of different people. I mean, we'll hire people who have zero sales experience who are coming. Typically, when people find an opportunity, it's not because they're making a ton of money in their current opportunity, right? So as far as like readily available income to spend on leads, that's not always a super big thing, right? So we still do have systems in place now to help assist like agents with leads in the beginning. But the understanding is like, hey, Zach, this is a 1099 business. Like lead flow is cash flow. We're talking about that from day one. We're not scared. We don't shy away from saying like, hey, like you have to buy leads in order to be successful. Or, I'm sorry, not necessarily that you have to, but like you really should, or you have to have some type of self-generation. You have to have leads of some sort in order to be successful. I'll rephrase it there. So we talk about that, and then as soon as let's say they'll start with our age leads in the beginning, we'll assist them there, then they'll sell some, and then they reinvest right back into new leads. So that's one thing. But like I said, I've also recently in the last month, I mean, we've hired two guys that'll make over $1 million outside of life insurance, right? So in the real estate business, they're already incredibly successful there. So their speed to buying leads is a lot quicker. They're like, okay, hey, like give me some leads. Okay, we're going to work inbound, we're going to work outbound. Like just show me the leads and I'll buy it. Then I'll say, cool, hey, this is exactly what we have to go through. I'll still take them through the exact same onboarding process because just because you made $1 million in there doesn't mean you're going to make $1 million here, right? There's a whole structure of everything of the system in place. So agents that come with maybe a little bit of money and they're faster to spend money on leads, we see those agents crush a lot quicker, right? So really it's finding out where the agent is at financially, right? And just I'll say, hey, like just break it down. Like if you were to buy, invest money into leads right now, like would that be a scary thing for you? Yeah, it would. Okay, well, why? Well, it's because I don't have a lot, or well, I just don't know what I'm doing. So from there, like we'll always guide an agent in the beginning steps to get some new leads. I'm sorry, to start with some aged leads. They'll sell those, and but right away, I'm like, cool, man. Hey, you got to buy leads, like, right? You got to buy leads. So all of our top agents, they buy leads. So then we'll show them how to do that as well. And as far as like what leads per se, whatever team that you're on now, like whatever they're selling the most of, that's what I would say, right? So if you have an all IUL agency or all mortgage protection agency, like just do what the team is doing and you're going to be able to grow it and scale it way faster as well. Like you don't need to like reinvent the wheel. If it's already working, just continue down the path that's already working.
Now, if you have some people you buy leads for and you buy all their leads for when they're brand
I
new,
do.
right? What does that program look like? What comp do you start them at? And then how many leads do you get for each one of those agents? And what expectations look like for those people so that you don't lose a bunch of money on that deal.
Yeah, let's talk about it because I definitely have. Okay.
Me too.
So, yeah, so let's talk about lead assist. Okay, so on a lead assist, we do have a lead assist program. There's a few positives and negatives with it. Like one, like it's the least of resistance path for like getting a new agent started. They don't have to buy leads. It sounds exactly what it is. The agency is buying leads for the agent in order to grow, succeed, and so forth, right? So as far as an agent starting on lead assist, we'll start them at a 65% comp, right? I mean, they start with a comp. The business has taken over all the risk, all the overhead. So in the beginning, to run it effectively, you would still start them on age leads, right? So it's like, okay, hey, Zach, we're going to call some 3 to 6 month old leads. We're going to start here, potentially even year-old leads. They'll start with those leads, and then from there, they'll start to like go up and as they start to produce. This is the important thing. So one, you still set the proper expectations, like, hey, this is not like Monday through Saturday, like Sunday if you need to, like you should be working your butt off there, but also from there it's like okay like what it's just a numbers thing, right? Like what is an agent producing? So if the agent is producing, let's call it 5K 6,000 6K a week, then from there we can start to spend a little bit more money onto their leads, right? So we're extremely transparent with that as well. And we're always very transparent too. Like, hey, you don't want to be on lead assist forever. This is just a beginning phase in your business. But realistically, you want to become a full broker, take advantage of everything, right? To get to 100% comp, 110% comp just for selling. Like eventually you want to graduate up to there. But in the beginning, if you can't, we know that, hey, if someone's plugged into our training, they they implement everything that we teach, like they'll do just fine. So that's what it is. Now, in the beginning, where I failed at that is I was just spending, and this will probably scare maybe some people on the call, but I mean, at one point I was spending, 12, 14, 15 grand a week on leads for other agents. Now, the great thing, I mean, it was profitable on the agency side of things, but also too, like not every single agent was working those leads, right? So if you are going to run a lead assist program, it's incredibly important that you have a really good pulse on the team through KPIs, metrics, you're checking in on them. Um, but that's definitely more much since you're investing so much money, it's more of like almost like boss employee relationship versus realistically, the great thing about being in the broker space is we can all run together, right? Like we can all like grow together. And a team of people running together is going to be a lot faster than, let's say, a team of if you're just like holding people through the process, which, like I said, it's important, but we don't want agents to stay there forever because also too, like they're not going to make as much money down the road, right? So we'll start that in, but we're always, like I said, it's all numbers and analytics driven. So if someone's producing, cool, we can increase your lead spend. If you're not producing, we cannot do that, and it's just as that simple.
Yeah, 100%. You have to be paying attention to it, right? What do you
Yeah.
how much spread does someone need to keep to make it work? Say you're spending $1,000 a week on leads for a new agent. What do you typically start them at comp wise?
Well, so they're at a 65% comp, right? So like let's say you want to run a lead assist program, like one, yes, you do need spread. Like otherwise, because you also got to account for chargebacks too, right?
Yep.
So like you could be the best salesperson in the world, but like you always got to think of like lowest common denominator, right? When somebody starts, we always tell agents like, hey, in the beginning, 15 to 20% of your business could fall off just because you just don't know any better, right? You don't know how to, you're learning, right? Even like when I started, my chargeback rate was, yeah, between 15 and 20%. Now it's sub 10, which is really good. But like for an agent to get to that point, it's going to take a minute, right? So you got to be very
Yeah.
mindful as far as like showing them like, hey, this is like you need to have spread. You got to build that in too. So if you're asking just for like numbers wise, I mean, I could break that down if you want. But
Yeah,
like,
go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So for example, okay, so if an agent sells 10K, right? Let's call it, you always want to account for at least 20% of fall off. So that's going to leave you with about 8K of business, right? Of that 8K in business, 75% cash advance of it, right? So if you're working realistically, you want to be at least a 45% spread, like 40 to 45% spread. If you're working on something lower than that, it's going to be really difficult. So of that 8,000, if you have, let's call it a 40% spread, so we're diving into the numbers, that's going to be, it's about 3,500 bucks, right? 75% cash advance of that, then you do the math there. It's like $2,700 is what it is. So if you're spending, $1,000, like you'll be profitable, but it's not like these massive numbers. And obviously, this is also like to help you guys grow, right? So it's like you want to get an agent paid, but you also want to make sure like you're not like sinking your business in order to do that as well, right? And of course, one thing too, I just want to touch on the expectations with lead assist. Like they have to be treating this like a business. Otherwise, I'm not willing to invest in them. And so what I mean by that is if they're not every single training, they're not giving themselves the best chance to succeed, it's not going to make sense long term. Because you could be investing $1,000 or $2,000 in an agent a week, but if they don't care to call the leads because they're not paying for them, like then you have a failing program. So you got to really watch the lead assist program, and then just have those conversations with those agents. I mean, we do check-ins typically every Friday with those agents specifically, of like, hey, like what's working well, what are you seeing? This is where you're at. What's your goal for next week? Okay, how can we get there? Cool. Hey, when are you thinking of going to become like full broker where you're managing all your book of business? You're gonna make a lot more money. And I'll break it down too. This is the exact money that you're missing out on that the agency's making, because we're inheriting your risk, right? So I'll show them
Yeah.
that as well because we want them to graduate from the program as well.
Hey, your goal is not for them to stay at a 65 forever. Your goal is to help them get up, get rolling, have some cash flow, be able to sell, and then graduate on, right? So I think that makes some sense. All right.
Exactly.
Now, I wanted to save the best part for last. The part I think that you're the best at: marketing, recruiting, like bringing people in, attracting people,
Yep.
motivating people, getting people excited about the business. talk about what wherever you want to start on that. But like I think marketing is something you've gotten very good at and you've always been pretty good at. But I've just watched from afar and seen you keep getting better and better at marketing and attracting high level people into the business. So what
Yeah,
stuff can you share with people on here? How do you attract people? And what conversations do you have when you first talk to someone about the life insurance business?
totally. So I'll start with, okay. Okay, so first and foremost, so let's start from the beginning. Like, let's say if like you're brand new day one, I'll let you know like what I did, where I failed at, what I think I did okay at. But yeah, like you said, it's marketing, right? So in this business, sales, recruiting, training, like those are like the three pillars of the business, right? So I want to get good at recruiting. Now, that being said, I think a mistake I made early on is I was okay. Let me take one step back. So, for example, once you figure out how to sell, like it's really good if you know how to sell, but then like you should be telling your story. So stories sell. I don't care if you are talking about in actual sales, but or in recruiting, stories sell, right? So what I always did early on and still do today is I'll post in the beginning because you just have yourself as the example, right? So you'll post like, hey, this is could be your like your numbers. A lot of people post all these numbers and all these things into sales, which I love and it's great, but they're missing a key point. Like, what does that actually mean? So if Zach posts on his story 10,000 AP, like what does that mean to me if I'm a plumber? Like I have no idea what that means, right? So what I always broke it down was like one step further. It was like, hey, this is what was sold today. But aside from that, this is what the commission payout was of it. And then two, this is like what I did prior. So I was just telling my story. Hey, so a year, so if I told my story today, 2.5 years ago, I was selling cell phones and it was really cool. You know, I'd made decent money. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. But I hit a ceiling. And then from there, now I got into insurance. Today, right, I sold $10,000. My commission rate is X. This is what I'll get deposited in about 1 to 7 days, right? And then it's like, then some type of call to action of like, if you're in sales or if you're thinking of it like doing something else, like now is the time, like we're in a gold rush. So like that's like will be the call to action, right? But early on, it's yeah, it's posting your results because then there's proof in the pudding, right? And it just depends. Everybody comes from different areas, right? So like let's say, I mean, there's I mean, I see Evan V Hill's on here. So like he's young, you know, he's 19, no, and Evan, he's 20 years old. So before he came to this, if I was like, okay, like Evan, like what'd you do? But he came from high school. So it's like it's just telling your story. Hey, from high school to now I'm doing, you know, some life sales, and this is like what I'm making. Hey, we're hiring. This is really hard, but I'll always do like a takeaway as well. So I think that's really important too. Like you could post your numbers, which is really cool, but it's even cooler than after that is posting the results of other people. And I think that crushes like 10 times harder. So like if I talk about EJ, I'm like, hey, this kid was literally bagging groceries a year and a half ago, and he just had his biggest month ever, which was, you know, 60,000. He's on his way to sell almost 100,000 this month. This is what his commission rate is. This is what he'll make. By the way, he almost failed at this. It took him like 3 to 6 months to actually like figure it out. It's just talking about stories and being really consistent with that, right? I think a lot of people they'll post for, you know, a day or two on their story, but well, what about day three? What about day four? What about day five? So just getting really good at that. Um, because in the beginning you just have your story, yeah, but you could always utilize other people's stories too. So like there's a guy I ran with, his name is Jesse Wagner, the Hall of Fame producer. My first year, he came from Crumble Cookie. And I was telling everybody in the world, hey, dude, our top sales guy came from Crumble Cookie. And mind you, he's like 23. And he's like, and I'll record him doing his like sales pitch, and it was like boring as hell, to be honest with you. I'm like, holy crap, like if this guy could do it, anybody could do it. Right. Because I understand, like you look at Zach, like, you know, fit, look at his bicep veins, like he looks good, you know, tattoos, all that. But I'm like, okay, of course Zach could do it. You know, he came from pre-med or whatever. But like, cool. But like, what about everyone else? Right. It's like I want to give everybody the belief, like, hey, they can do it, because I really do believe anybody can do it. And I, to be honest, I didn't believe that at first until I saw EJ come in and crush this thing. And then I'm like, holy crap, everybody can do it. And then from now, I'm just like screaming from the roof, like, hey, dude, anybody can do it. These are the stories, these are the results. And it's full transparency as well. I think a lot of people too, like, ah, man, like you can have all the cars, all the cool shit, all the BS, whatever, it's cool, but like, how are you helping somebody get there? Right. Or like a lot of people early on, like I see this all the time. If I open up IG, like a lot of people will post of like all this crap of like the lifestyle. And I'm like, dude, like Like that's like a rental, dude. It's like just be transparent, guys. Like like wherever you're at in the business, you could be like hop on your store and be like, "Dang, dude, today I got smoked, but guess what, man? Tomorrow I stayed 12 hours, but man, that means I'm due." Then the next day, guess what? You show up and then you crush and then you post that as well, and people are watching your story. Like people
Yeah.
will take note. Yeah,
Dude, the best I would say what you were just talking about, the best reaction I've ever gotten to stories when I post other people's success. I post other people's stuff. I post other people's Dude, I posted a video with Tanner because he bought a pink
the
McLaren the other
McLaren.
day.
Yeah,
Dude, I had probably 50 people reach out from that because it's about hit. Now some of them were like, "Oh, why is it pink?" I'm like, "What color is your McLaren?" You know? But but whenever
yeah,
I post about other people reach out and then I send them all to Tanner because it's his like I'm gonna hook him up with the people. But like they reach out more when you're loving on other people, right? If you go like, "Hey, I'm killing it," then you're kind of a dick. But if you're like, "Hey, Chris is killing it," they're like, "Oh, like he's just cheering on his boy. That's awesome," you know?
yeah.
So this year so far, you guys have had 94 people write a piece of business. How many of those came from social media? Was it all social media? Is there some cold market or like where's the vast majority of your people come from?
Yeah, 90% is social media. The other 10% is from cold market. Yeah, from cold
Okay.
market.
And before you started insurance, did you have a giant social media following, or did you just start building it up over time through
Not
insurance?
not really. I mean, we started building it up over insurance, but I mean, I probably had like a
Yeah.
thousand followers, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
But then again, I will say like one thing that I had going well for me is in my prior experience, I was always um how can I put it? Like I always like cared about like what my name meant, right? I mean, my dad taught
Yeah.
me that early on. He's like, hey, like you make sure like you're always doing things the right way, like you're a good person. So like when I came into this and I started posting, I would say it's just trustworthy. And it was, right? But I would also like dive in deep of like, hey man, like this wasn't always like this. Like, dude, Hawaii's sick and everything, but dude, like shit, like I remember not being able to pay my rent, you know what I mean? So like just
Yeah.
being very transparent with that stuff and telling that early on in your story. And if you do it by video, I mean, it's, hey, people resonate, man. Like people resonate. So it's like, hey, if you could resonate with people, then just show them a solution or a different way of doing things that it would make sense. Or here's the thing, if it doesn't make sense, also tell them it doesn't make sense. Right. So it's
Yeah.
just like being very transparent with that stuff is really good.
And last thing I want to ask you is, and I think this is where I think this is where people can really start to three, four, five, six, seven, 10x their businesses when you figure out like, okay, Chris can teach someone how to sell, then Chris can teach someone to teach someone else how to sell. Like when you start to teach people how to teach someone else how to recruit is where
Mhm.
you really start to exponentially grow, right? So for you, what are
Absolutely.
you doing to help the guys on your team? Like, yes, you can teach people how to sell and you can teach them how to train people, but what are some of the things you've done to teach people to start building their own agencies? Because I think that
Yeah.
level is the one people miss a lot. They don't think about it. But once you could, like, if I can hire 20 people a week on my own, but if Chris can teach 10 people to hire two people a week on their own, like he has more time and then there's more replication and they can do that levels deep. And Chris will smoke me long term, right? So what have
Yeah.
you done to start to teach some of your guys like, hey, this is how you have recruiting calls, this is what you post, here's what you say on
Mhm.
the initial calls. Like what does that process look like for new studs you have that are selling that you transition into people that also are building at a high level?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, one, it's giving. So one, okay, so it starts from the beginning, right? It's always like going back to like what is somebody's goals, right? Because like Zach, let's say if I'm telling you like, man, dude, you should build, you should build, you should build, you should build. Meanwhile, you don't really want to, then it's not gonna, it's gonna be like, oh, you want me to build because it benefits you, that type of thing, right? So I'm always asking like what's an agent's goals? If they're like, hey man, I'm 20 years old, I just want to freaking sell, make a bunch of money, do all this, whatever, buy my mom XYZ. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, let me help you get there. I'm gonna show you the path. There's a couple ways you do it. You can do it by selling, or you could also do it by like building. So step one, I would say would be like selling. So when someone is selling like about 30 to $40,000 a month, and it could happen pretty dang quick. I mean, we've seen some agents come in, month one, month two, they start doing that. I'll always have that conversation like, hey man, have like, dude, you're selling and you're crushing right now, but like, dude, have you ever thought about like building an agency or do you know what that looks like? No, it doesn't. What does that look like? Then I explain, hey, so this is what it looks like. This is what an override is. Like, this is how like you can grow. Like, I'm showing them the way to get there. And I also gauge people early on too. That's also in the interview too. Like, hey, like John, like like you could sell your buck of business down the road. Like you don't just have to sell forever. Like this is the one of the best things of this opportunity. And some people are like, right, if you told me at 19 years old, I would have no idea what you're talking about. So that would probably flew over my head. But some people are like, man, yeah, dude, I've been working at XY company for 7 years and I have nothing to show for it. I'll be like, dude, yeah, me too. But this is how this is different. And then I could start showing them that way. So it's having those conversations early, figuring out, okay, what's an agent's goals like long term? Do they want to build? Do they want to just produce? And then showing them how to do that. Like, hey, like as I like for example, for my builders now, it's like that's where I'm finding now. It's like, hey, you start to produce, but now you could build, and then from there, it's like showing them how to, of course, like help their guys, like sell, do trainings with them, how to like help them like get up and going for their agents to start making money. Um, yeah, and that's really where like the growth comes from, right? It's that. It's like, dude, you can be the best salesperson in the world, but man, if it's just you, like, I'm sorry, you don't have a business. You have a sick 1099 position, which I believe is really cool. But it's like there's much bigger things, right? So it's just having the conversations early. It's showing them exactly like I said, like what to post. It's like so like one tactical thing that everybody could use here. Okay, so like show of hands, like who I guess who's building here? Like who wants to build an agency? Cool, sweet. Christian, you're like one of the only guys I can see. So like Christian, like let's say you raise your hand, you're like, okay, sweet, I want to build. But cool, like let's say you're selling and then you have a new agent and then they sell. Like, dude, I'm posting that. I'm tagging all my uplines. I'm tagging everyone else who's also producing when they post that. What does that agent want to do as well? What are they going to do? They're going to repost that as well. So when they repost it, man, okay, well, let's say Christian, you just hired some brand new guy. Let's say Martin. Martin gets a sale. He sees everybody that he looks up to that sells 30, 40K a month, and he's also going to repost that. Then what is that doing? Yeah, it's going to generate conversations. People are going to be like, man, like Martin, what are you doing, man? Oh, well, I started doing this. I don't know. I'm pretty brand new, but hey, Christian's crushing, dude. You should talk to him. And you're just the connector. So that's one tactical thing everybody on this call could use. But that's just sorry, not to get off track, but like building, that's like a way I'm showing people like, hey, dude, like when you're building, like this is how you can also like spread warm market wise.
Yeah, people overcomplicate it a lot. Like I'm some of the best people that I've recruited with other people is just going like, "Hey, Chris, okay, you did cell phone sales before. Like, who else do you know that did cell phone sales either in your store or other store you think would do really well in insurance sales?" Like
Mhm.
just having that conversation and we it sounds so oversimplified, right? But dude, I remember talking to Jake Wamba a year and a half ago, Chris, and going, "All right, Jake, who else do you know that you've talked to you think would be really good? Like ran across like anyone you know in your orbit you think would be great." He's like, "Well, I know this guy Marco, but I think he works at a different insurance company. Like, well, let's call
Mm.
him." He's like, "When?" I'm like, "Right now. Why don't you call him? Throw me in. Let's talk to him and see what he thinks." And then now Marco does $1 million a month, right? And so I think we just really overcomplicate the process. It's like, hey, who else do you know? Who can we talk to? Who'd be a good fit? It doesn't matter if they say yes or no. Like, let's just talk to enough people and just start to talk about what we do on a very simple, replicatable scale, right? I want to wrap with this. Like, the biggest mistake I hear people make in recruiting calls is they talk the whole time and they over explain everything and they talk about, 145, private equity, carriers, like all this stuff that if you're a plumber, like you said, doesn't really make sense. So like you have an initial call with someone, if someone sees that you posted about Jonna and you're like, "Hey man, what do you do for work? We saw the girl you posted. She sold 36K last week. Like, what does that even mean?" How do you explain the business in a super simple, replicatable way to that person?
Yeah. So one, I'll answer the question, right? So if they say, hey, like you reposted that, that person sold 36,000, what does that mean? Like, well, Zach, I mean, let me explain. So she's at 100% commission rate. The insurance companies, that means her total commission generated was right about 36,000. Now, 75% of that she's going to get upfront deposit in her bank account, roughly in about 1 day to 7 to 10 days, somewhere in that range. And I'll just break it down. So if it was 30,000, let's say it was 40,000, it's just easier math. So she would have deposited roughly $30,000, somewhere in that range. Maybe a few chargebacks, whatever, about $28,000, $27,000. That's how much money she made. And oh, by the way, she also did XYZ was her background. And she's just been with us for about 4 months. So I'll start that conversation there. But now let's say if I'm hopping on an interview call with someone, like one, it's like, cool, like, hey, like, what are you doing for work? Like, I'll always start there, hey, like, what are you doing for work? Like, obviously, like you're reaching out to me. So like, what prompted you to reach out to me? Well, I saw that, you posted that girl. Like, what does that mean? Oh yeah, well, this is what it means. Like, she sold this amount. This is what she's making now. So yeah, man, like, and I'm always very nonchalant about it, by the way, too, because see, I think one area where people mess up is kind of like you were saying, like we're explaining all this stuff, like we're overcomplicating. It's the same thing in a sale. Like you talk about all the nicks and crannies of an IUL, like good luck selling it, dude. Like you're gonna be like, all right, well, let me think about this. I try to keep it really simple. So it's like, hey, it's really simple. We have warm leads. We contact the leads with proven scripts and training. And then we really just rinse and repeat that. We buy leads and we just rinse and repeat that. So that's what it actually looks like. And I'll just keep it like very simple. So on the
And
call
you let
though,
them ask questions and get
yeah,
deeper into it if they want to go deeper, but not over explaining the entire thing, right?
not over explaining because it is that simple. Like we
Yeah.
call leads that ask for insurance and we sell them and then the insurance company pays us. Like we're not that cool. So
Yeah.
like I mean we're not. Like everybody thinks like they figured out like it's this like crazy thing. Like, dude, we sell insurance. Like for to people who are asked for insurance. And I keep it that
Yeah.
simple. Um so yeah, I mean that's what it looks like on the call. But then if they start prompting more, they ask questions, I'll answer those questions. But like I said, I'm very transparent of like I think one thing that we do really well is like I said, being very setting the proper expectations. Because I think people see like all this money or that people can make. I'm just like, hey, yeah, that exists, but it's behind all this tons of work. So like if in that example there, whatever her, let's say her name was Joanne, I would just be like, so Joanne, she started with us. Was her timing frame. This is like her first 90 days. She worked every single day for X amount of time. She was at every single training. She did a really good job of like asking questions and implementing the answers. Like for example, we have a guy here on our team, Grant Staley. He just sold $100,000, like his 6th month in the business, crushing it. And now I'm talking about him a lot. I'm like, hey, like yeah, he deposited, I think, $98,000 after bonuses and everything else. I'm like, he crushed it. But what he did a real good job is from day one, he was at every single training. He asked every single question, but speed to implementation was faster than anyone I've seen. So like seeing someone like him, I'm like, it makes sense why he's doing what he's doing. And not everybody does that because no one's willing to work as hard as Grant did, but like it is possible. Right. So I'll
Yeah.
talk about that of the proper expectations. I'm not saying you can make 100 grand in 6 months. Like you could. People have done it on our team, but like, I mean, he's also outworking 99% of probably the entire company, you know?
Yeah. I think your point of always having somebody that is like the person you're telling the story about at the time is always really helpful. Like I've always had that throughout the business, and when I was new and it was like one person that sold a policy, that's what you got. You gotta promote something, but you
Hmm.
always got to be promoting something. You always got to be sharing good news with the team, sharing wins and doing marketing, right? Just constantly pushing out good news on social media to your agents, people you talk to. Just your job is to share good news with everybody all the time, you know?
Absolutely.
So cool. All right, Chris, wait, man. Thank you for jumping on with us. I appreciate it. We went a little bit
Absolutely.
over, but it was super great information. I know it's early in Hawaii, so I appreciate you getting up with us. And
Good,
dude, I'm,
brother.
I'm looking forward to you guys. I think you'll be at what, $3 million a month by the end of the year? Is that the goal?
The goal, brother. We'll do it.
Goal. I
Yeah.
like it. Well, I believe it. Appreciate it, dude. I know everyone got a lot of value out of today. I hope you all make it a great rest of the week and see everyone ignite. Make sure you get registered because those seats are almost gone, and we don't want people having to watch from the outside. So talk to y'all
Yeah.
later. Chris, see you, man.
Yeah.